faith, family, and the future of our community. Welcome to Ashonda at Large. About 10 years ago or more, I guess it's been more like 15 years ago, the Most High was so gracious to show my husband and I something called The Truth Behind Hip Hop. And I've mentioned it several times on this channel because it just was that profound. But around that time, I really stopped listening to secular hip hop and R&B. But even though I stopped listening to it, like a watchman, I kept an eye on the culture. And although I don't know every person that is out there now, it's just too much to keep up with. There are some names that kind of stick out and stand out. People like Nicki Minaj, of course, Beyonce and Jay-Z were around back 15 years ago when hip hop was, really at its turning point, its tipping point, where Nas was saying hip hop is dead. But then we have this generation of people like Cardi B. And a few weeks ago, I did a post about the connection between Cosby and Cardi B. And if you haven't seen that, I'm going to leave that in the comment section. I'm going to pin that so that you can see what that message was about. Because, I when I did that post, I did not really do it knowing just how much they were connected. I was doing it more from a position of how we are blindsided by thinking that we're one place when we're really in another place. So definitely check that out. But there is another connection between the two of them, which we're going to discuss today. And I titled this that Cardi B has money, but she has no wealth. In other words, Cardi B is spiritually bankrupt. And the reason why I say this is because recently it came out that she had done a live talking about how she paid for studio time. And how she did that, and this is the whole Cosby connection, was that she actually admitted to drugging men and for sex and robbing them. And the money that she got from them, she would use to pay for good studio time, good engineers. And at the same time she said that, she said, well, nobody handed me anything. Well, yeah, I guess because you robbed them. Like, they didn't physically put the money in your hand, you robbed them. So at the same time, she's saying that nothing was handed to her and she had no other choice. And, she doesn't really like what she had to do, but she had to do what she had to do because she had limited options. The problem with that is that, this is a conversation that Black America has been having for such a long time. And her being a Black Puerto Rican woman, not ADOS, but a Black immigrant in the sense. And of course she says, I'm not black, but she's melanated. We'll say that. That's the experience of ADOS. That's the experience of those who have their roots and lineage in American slavery, as well as slavery throughout the diaspora. But the excuse that she gave, well, I didn't have any other options. But, as far as this whole spiritually bankrupt thing with Cardi B, this is something that the culture has invited. This is something the culture thrives on. The culture wants people who will do and say anything in order to get what it is that they're most desirous of, even though it's not what they really need. So Cardi's pursuit for material wealth and popularity and celebrity has really caused her to have such a disconnection with her soul. And she often talks about God and, how she prays. I really feel like she's in a crisis of conscience. And the one end, she realizes that she's come to this level and this elevation of superstardom, but at what cost? Her soul? So where it comes into the Cosby connection is this whole issue with drugging men. This whole issue with robbing people. I mean, didn't Bill Cosby go to prison for specifically being accused of drugging women and having sex with them? I find it so unfortunate because here it is that we're finding out through the Supreme Court, who's overturned this ruling, that Bill Cosby's accusers were liars. but we're not seeing his accusers being put in prison for lying. And this is something that we see in the black community also all the time, is that white women will go and accuse a black man of raping them, and then they will not suffer any time. We see this with Jussie Smollett. Recently, the courts completely overturned all of his false accusations about being beaten by white supremacists, and he's being let go. These are the type of rumors and problems that we have that have messed up whole people's lives. You have men who are sitting on death row right now who are actually innocent and have been proclaiming their innocence for murder, rape, all kinds of charges. And many of them have actually lost their life and they haven't done anything wrong. But you have Cardi B, who admittedly drugged men so that she can rob those same men and then turn around and pay for studio time. Studio time is not a necessity. You know, when I know that women make decisions to do certain things that they feel not proud of. Strippers, for example. I know that strippers have gone out and they said, you know what, I got to do what I got to do. I've got to go on and work this pole so that I can put some food on the table for my children. You know, I don't condemn people who do things like that, because I understand that when you don't know the Most High Yah, that you make decisions based off of your ignorance, based off of a feeling of hopelessness and feeling like you have no other choice. But that's not the same as what Cardi B is saying. She's not saying, you know what, even though we know she was a stripper, I stripped so that I could put food on the table. She didn't say that at all. She's saying that what I did was I was going to prostitute myself. I was going to pay for sex, but instead what I did was drug men, and then I robbed them so that I could take that money and put it into studio time and get the good engineers, because I know that you have to have good engineers if you're going to have a good record. That is totally different. Now, are we going to see Cardi B brought up on charges for what it is that she's done in order to be able to get to her level of success? Probably not. And it's a shame. It's a shame that we live in a culture where once you get to a certain plateau, it's like you become untouchable. It's like you are allowed to do whatever it is that you're big and bad enough to do, and then you don't have to pay the consequences for it. Once you reach a certain level, it's like you're allowed now to continue to live a criminal life or to glorify that criminal lifestyle, and you face no consequences for it. Now, Cardi B also said that she's not glorifying what she did. Well, in a way you are, because when you're saying, well, this is what I did and I didn't have any other choice, you're speaking to millions of impressionable girls, and you're telling them that, you know what? You may not like what you have to do. You may feel bad about it later on, but if you got to do that, then do what you got to do so you can get up. Hey, this is Ashonda coming to you for a brief minute to invite you to subscribe to my channel, as well as hit that notification bell so that you can get the latest content as soon as it comes out. Well, I hope you're enjoying today's discussion. Back to the podcast. I have a young lady who was sharing with me that, you know, she had a family member who told her as long as she had a vagina that she had no need to be broke. And this is the type of prostitution behavioral mindset that has kept our people in bondage and kept our people in curse. You know, the Most High did not make us as women for the purpose of exploitation. He did not call us to this position in the earth so that our bodies could be used as machines. We're not robots. We are not to be degraded. We're not to be treated in a way that is less than all that He has put in us, which is our royalty. He has placed royalty within us from the top of our head until the sole of our feet. He has called us, like Queen Esther, to be women of integrity. He's called us to be women of value and to know our worth. But what I'm seeing is that we have a culture of women who don't know their worth. And I'm not talking about pockets in our community. I'm talking about women in this nation, in the Black community, who don't know their worth, who don't know their value, who prostitute themselves, who prostitute their minds and prostitute their bodies. They're getting the go-ahead, they're getting the green light by artists like Cardi B, who is telling them, I didn't like what I had to do, but you know what I did, and look at me now. Okay, and so then they think, well, I'm gonna do that and look at me now. And what's gonna happen to the majority of those women? They're gonna instead get STDs, they're gonna get pregnancies that they did not expect or want. This is why we have such an epidemic of crisis pregnancy, because we have a culture that says you can go out to the club, you could party, you could do whatever it is that you want, you can then sleep with whoever you want, and then after that, it's all good and you just keep repeating. And that's not the case. What we see instead is that our women are going out and they're doing these things and they're picking up STDs and they're picking up babies that they did not expect to have, and then they're going to the abortion clinic and they're aborting their babies. Their wombs are becoming the baby's tomb. And this is a huge epidemic in our community. This is one of the main reasons why I started the My Ovaries Matter Mom Mission, to serve our mothers who are in crisis pregnancy, because our women do not know their value, their design, their worth. And I said my ovaries matter because motherhood is by design. God created us to bring life into the world, but instead we're allowing this culture to prostitute our minds, which causes us to prostitute our bodies, which causes us to have unwanted pregnancies, which causes us to be murderers. And I'm going to say it outright just like that, because it's just like saying adultery versus affair. You've got to hit it home and you got to hit it where it is so that people can see what they're doing is wrong. What they're doing, there are consequences to it. Does that mean that we come from a position of condemnation? No, but we need to be able to convict each other, our daughters, our sons, of the sins that continue to repeat the cycle of curse that is in our community. This is the curse of Deuteronomy 28 written all over it. Yahusha said before he was being crucified on the cross, he told the mothers, he said, don't weep for me, but weep for your sons and your daughters, for the day will come when a woman will say, blessed are the barren women. Now you got to understand the culture of the Hebrews back then was that having children was a blessing, that the man who had many children was considered very wealthy, very rich, not even necessarily because he had a whole lot of money or had a whole lot of livestock, but he had hands, he had laborers, he had people that could build up his team, his community. So when we look at culture today and you have people that run away from parenthood, but what do? They don't run away from the things that are going to cause unwanted parenthood. They listen to artists like Cardi B, they listen to them and they get the opposite of the results that they wanted. Instead of getting the nice life that she's promoting, the glamorous money, cars, guilt-free lifestyle that she's promoting, they deal with the consequences and repercussions of their misuse of their bodies. And we're seeing this in our community at an alarming rate. And it's something that we cannot ignore. But my whole objective with the Mom Mission is that we would rise up and care about our community and educate our community about the dangers. In the same way that we're raising up and rising up and saying, you know what? We need to be able to get reparations. We need to vote people in office that are going to be for us, or we don't vote at all. Then we need to at the same time say we need to care about our community. We can't expect anybody else to care about our community, and we don't even need to be looking for anybody else to care about our community. We care about our community. It doesn't even matter what other people think. When we are united, it doesn't really matter who's trying to divide us. But the problem is that we're looking at other people and saying, well, you don't care about us. So they don't have to care about us. The question is, do we care about us? Or are we going to allow our children to listen to Cardi B? Or are we going to allow ourselves to put on that foolishness on the record and get infused with those demons that are consuming this woman? So I just wanted to come from this position today because I think that we have to realize that she is poisoned. She is spiritually bankrupt. And no, she may not even get caught up on charges or put up on charges for the things that she did or admitted to doing. But the consequences, they will come in her life. And if you follow her, or if you allow your children to follow her, then those consequences will come into your life as well. Because her spiritual bankruptness is something that is a plague in our community. And we've got to be the one to say no more. That we draw the line in the sand. We're not going to endorse her. We're not going to endorse people like her. We're not going to continue to allow her poison to fester in our community. We're going to call our women, our girls to rise up and to be valuable and to have purpose and to have virtue. We're going to call our young girls to rise up and be Proverbs 31 women. And if you don't know what a Proverbs 31 woman is, then you got some homework. Go in scripture and look it up, because that is a powerful, powerful woman. That's a woman that is after the heart of the Most High Yah. So I just wanted to come today and to bring this to y'all attention. Don't allow this woman to cause you to be spiritually bankrupt. Serve your community, serve your family, and turn away from the wickedness of this present age. I definitely want to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about Cardi B. Let me know what you think about being influencers in our community, so that we can see a change. Definitely like and share. As always, thank you so much for listening to Ashonda at Large, where we do discuss faith, family, and the future of our community. Don't forget, love yourself without hating your enemies. And until next time, Yah bless and shalom.